There's a strange pattern researchers keep running into. The more intelligent a man is, the more analytical, the more capable, the higher earning, the more likely he is to be driving something 20 years old with a dent in the tailgate. He can afford new. He's looked at new. He walked into the dealership, sat in the leather, listened to the salesman explain the touchscreen, and he went home and put another $200 into a truck that's older than his kids. Everyone around him thinks it's stubbornness, or nostalgia, or him being cheap. It's none of those things. Psychology has a much more interesting explanation. And by reason number 2, you're going to recognize yourself. Because here's what nobody says out loud. An old truck is not a worse version of a new truck. It's a completely different object, doing a completely different job for the mind that owns it. A new truck is a product. You buy it, you finance it, you're a customer. An old truck is a relationship. You maintain it, you understand it, you're responsible for it. And for a certain kind of mind, that difference is everything. Here are the 5 reasons intelligent men keep choosing the old one.
Reason 1. It's one of the last systems he can fully understand. Intelligent men share one trait above almost all others. They need to understand how things work, not use them, understand them. And that need has been getting quietly starved for about 20 years. Think about the systems in your life right now. Your phone is sealed. Your bank is an app. Your work runs on software somebody else updates without asking. Your new car throws a warning light, and the only honest answer anyone can give you is, take it to the dealer. You are surrounded by things you operate but cannot comprehend. Now open the hood of a 1994 pickup. Everything is there. You can see the whole system with your eyes. The belt goes there, that's the alternator, that hose does that. There's no hidden layer, no proprietary module, no subscription to unlock the heated seats.
Psychologists call this cognitive transparency, the capacity to hold an entire system in your head at once, and the human mind finds it deeply, physically satisfying. It's the same reward you get from solving a puzzle, except the puzzle is 4,000 pounds and it takes you to work. This is why a smart man will spend a Saturday fixing something that would cost him less to pay somebody else to fix. He's not saving money. He's buying back comprehension. And in a world that's taken most of it from him, that's worth far more than the labor rate. That's the one most men will admit to. The next one, they usually won't. Reason 2. He doesn't trust things that ask him to trust them. Here's the one that gets personal. High analytical thinkers have a measurable trait, a low tolerance for unverifiable claims. They don't like being told something is good. They want to check. A new truck is an enormous stack of unverifiable claims. The reliability rating, the warranty, the promise that the software won't be abandoned in 6 years. You cannot inspect any of it. You are asked to trust a brochure, sign for $60,000, and drive away hoping. An old truck asks you to trust nothing at all. It has already told you the truth about itself. 200,000 miles is not a promise. It's a result. The rust is honest. The knock at cold start is honest. Every flaw is visible, measurable, and yours to price in. And this is the part most men never say out loud. He isn't avoiding the new truck because it's expensive. He's avoiding it because it requires him to be a passenger in his own decision. A man who has spent his life being right by checking things does not enjoy being asked to simply believe. So he chooses the machine that lets him verify, even when verifying costs him a weekend. Reason 3 is the one that explains why he gets quiet when someone suggests selling it. Reason 3. It's storage for a version of himself he doesn't want to lose. Ask a man about his old truck and watch what actually happens. He won't tell you about the truck. He'll tell you about the year he bought it, the job he was doing, the dog that used to ride in the passenger seat, the move across 3 states, his father's hands on the same steering wheel. That vehicle is not transport. It's an external hard drive for autobiographical memory. And this is a genuinely strong effect.
Memory research keeps finding that men are far more likely than women to encode significant life events into objects rather than into conversation. He didn't process those years by talking about them. He processed them by living them in that truck. And the truck is now the index.
Which means selling it isn't a transaction, it's a deletion. That's why the question, why don't you just get rid of it, lands so badly. To the person asking, they're offering him an upgrade. To him, they're offering to erase the last physical evidence that a certain version of him existed. A new truck can do everything the old one does, except remember. Reason 4 is where the psychology gets uncomfortable. Reason 4. Fixing it is how he regulates himself. Most intelligent men carry a specific kind of stress, not physical exhaustion, unresolved cognitive load, problems with no clean answer, decisions that won't stay decided, work that never actually finishes. You can't complete a modern job. There's always another email tomorrow. But you can complete a break job. This is the mechanism almost nobody talks about. When he goes out to work on the truck, he isn't escaping his problems. He's swapping them for a problem that has the one property his real problems lack. It can be finished. Diagnose, repair, test, done. A closed loop, start to end, in an afternoon. Psychologists call this a completion experience, and it's one of the most reliable stress regulators available to the human nervous system. It restores the belief that effort still produces outcomes, and that belief is what quietly erodes in men who spend their working lives in systems too big to move. So when he says he's going out to fix the truck, he's telling the truth. He's just not telling you which thing he's fixing. He comes back in calmer, greasier, and easier to talk to. Nothing about his actual life changed, but his nervous system got proof that he is still a man who can solve things. And that leads to the last one, the reason he'll probably never explain to anybody. Reason 5. It's the last thing he owns outright. Look honestly at what a capable man actually owns in his 40s or 50s. The house has a mortgage on it. The new car would have a payment. The phone is on a plan. The software is a subscription. The job could restructure him out of existence in a quarter. Even his music and his films are rented from companies that can remove them overnight. Almost nothing in a modern man's life is fully, finally his. The old truck is. No payment, no lender, no terms and conditions, no account that can be suspended. He can take it apart on a Tuesday because he wants to, and nobody on earth has standing to object. Psychologists call this locus of control, the felt sense of being the author of your own circumstances, rather than a subject of them. It's one of the strongest single predictors of resilience and life satisfaction we've measured, and modern life systematically strips it out of men. That truck is a working piece of it, a 4,000-pound object that answers to him and nobody else. That's why the criticism stings more than it should. Tell a man his truck is old, and he hears something about the truck. Tell him to get rid of it, and he hears something about how much of his own life he's still allowed to hold. He's not being sentimental about steel. He's defending the last thing on the list with no one else's name on it. So it was never about the truck. It's a system he can understand in a world that stopped explaining itself. A machine that tells the truth instead of asking for trust. A record of who he used to be. A problem he can actually finish. And the last thing he owns outright. Intelligent men don't drive old trucks because they can't afford better. They drive them because they've worked out, usually without ever putting it into words, that the newer one costs something the sticker price doesn't mention. How many of those 5 were you? Be honest in the comments. 1, 3, or all 5. And if all 5 landed, watch the next one, because you're going to recognize yourself there too.